2, 1, boom.
Welcome to another episode of the Joe Rogan Experience, and today we've got a real treat for you. We've got the man, the myth, the legend, the Baba Yaga himself, John Wick. He's got a brand spanking new movie coming out, John Wick 4, and it's going to be a banger. Young Jamie and I can't wait to check it out. John, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Glad to finally meet you, John.
Glad to meet you too, Joe.
We've been looking forward to this one. People are psyched for this interview.
That's good to hear, Joe.
So let's get right into it. I got to know, what got you into the game? What was it that drove you to become the ultimate contract killer in the underworld?
Yeah. Now let's backtrack. For those at home, my name is John Wick. And for those who haven't seen the movie, let me give you some backstory.
Hold on. It's customary that we have a drink before we get into this. John, what drink do you prefer? We've got bourbon, whiskey, vodka.
Bourbon.
Hey, don't just look at me. Pass the glasses over. We've also got Knob Creek, Wild Turkey, Blanton's,
nice.
Four Roses.
You've got Blanton's too.
Listen, John, we've got more booze options than a college frat party. This ain't no lemonade stand. We're running a fully stocked alcohol wonderland.
Appreciate the drink, Joe. Cheers.
You're certainly welcome, John.
Cheers. Okay, let me continue on my backstory. Okay, I remember now. See, I was an assassin.
Hold on. Spoiler alert for everyone at home.
Yeah. But then I met my wife, Helen, and I left that life behind. I was happy with her until she got sick and died. After she passed, I got a surprise from her in the form of a puppy named Daisy. But some thugs, led by the Russian mafia, came and killed her, then stole my car and left me for dead. Bad move on their part.
Shit.
I came out of retirement to seek revenge for Daisy's death. I took down anyone who stood in my way, including the Russian kingpin himself.
What the fuck?
Who was head of the Russian mafia in New York City. But in doing so, I broke the rules of the Continental, a hotel that serves as a neutral zone for assassins. Now every assassin in the world is after me.
That's fucking insane. Jesus. So, John, one of the key mystery in your movies is the Continental. Can you elaborate and tell us more about it?
Yes, the Continental. It's a unique place in our world, Joe. It's a hotel exclusively for the use of assassins and other criminals. It's a neutral ground where no business can be conducted, as you mentioned, which means that once you step inside, you're safe. No one can touch you as long as you follow the rules. The rules are essential, Joe. They're what keep the Continental running smoothly and what keep the peace among the assassins. They're strict, but they're necessary. For example, no killing is allowed on the premises.
Interesting.
If you break that rule, you're out. And I mean permanently.
Hold on, wait. Didn't you go and conducted some business on the continent's grounds on some guy named Santino?
Joe, I appreciate the directness of your question. Yes, I did conduct some business on Continental grounds, but it was necessary at the time to protect myself and those close to me. However, it did come with consequences, and I'm dealing with them now. But I always stand by my choices and am willing to face any challenges that come my way. Now, returning to your earlier question, the Continental is important to us assassins because it's where we can go to rest and recover after a job. It's where we can get medical attention or weapons and gear, and where we can connect with other assassins and criminal networks. And for the hotel staff, it's a business. They provide us with a range of services, from lodging to food and drink, all of which are top-notch. But there's more to it than that, Joe. The Continental is a symbol of our world, a world that exists beneath the surface of everyday life. It's where we go to escape the laws and regulations of society and to live by our own rules. It's a world that operates on a different level, where strength and skill are rewarded, and where loyalty and honor are everything. So you see, Joe, the Continental is more than just a hotel. It's a symbol of our way of life, and it's essential to the world we live in.
Oof, that's a trip. Now, we've all seen the gold coins that are used as currency in the movie, specifically at the Continental. Can you tell us more about them? Like, how much are they worth, and what can you use them for?
Absolutely, Joe. Each coin is worth a significant amount, enough to cover the cost of a variety of services in our line of work. Think of them like a universal currency for assassins and criminals. As for how to obtain them, they're not exactly something you can pick up at your local bank.
Hey, Jamie, pull up one of these gold coins so the folks at home can better understand. Sorry, continue, John.
So these coins, they're more of a specialized item, only available through certain channels. Some people earn them through their work in the field, while others acquire them through connections and networks within the criminal world. But what makes the gold coins so valuable isn't just their price tag. It's the fact that they're universally recognized and accepted within the community. And because they're so exclusive, people are willing to go to great lengths to obtain them. Now, regarding their use, there are a wide variety of services you can purchase with them at the Continental. Need a weapon, a suit, a car, a safe house? All of these things and more can be obtained with the right number of coins. However, it's important to note that the use of the coins is strictly regulated by the rules of the Continental. For example, you can't simply hand over a coin for any old transaction. There are specific services and goods that the coins can be used for, and certain rules that must be followed when conducting business with them. And of course, as you mentioned earlier, no business can be conducted on the premises of the Continental. Overall, the gold coins are a fascinating part of the criminal underworld and an important aspect of how we operate in our line of work.
Interesting. It sounds like these coins are quite valuable. Are they ever counterfeited, and how can you tell if a coin is the real deal?
Great question, Joe. The gold coins are definitely valuable. I would say each coin is valued at roughly $1,500 and highly sought after for obvious reasons.
Jamie, can you pull up that scene from John Wick where he's counting his stacks of gold coins? Sorry.
And unfortunately, there are people out there who will try to counterfeit them in order to make a quick buck. That being said, it's not easy to counterfeit the coins. They're made from a specific type of gold alloy that's difficult to replicate, and they also have unique markings and engravings that make them easily distinguishable from fakes. Plus, the criminal underworld has its own network of experts and resources to help identify fake coins and those who try to pass them off as genuine. But even with these measures in place, it's still important to be cautious when dealing with gold coins. When accepting a coin as payment or using one to purchase goods or services, it's always a good idea to thoroughly inspect it for any signs of tampering or forgery. And if you're unsure about a coin's authenticity, it's better to err on the side of caution and not accept it. Overall, the value and exclusivity of the gold coins make them a prime target for counterfeiters, but the measures in place to prevent this from happening make it difficult for them to succeed. As with anything in the criminal underworld, caution and vigilance are always key.
Now, John, with all these guns and weapons at your disposal, I gotta ask, how did you become this badass motherfucker? I mean, were you trained by some secret government agency, or did you just pick it up on your own?
Well, let me tell you how it all started. I served in the military. I was a part of a special unit known as the Baba Yaga. We were known for our skills in combat and assassination, and I became one of the best in the unit. After my time in the military, I found myself drawn to the world of contract killing. It wasn't an easy decision, but I knew I had a talent for it, and it was something I was good at. I started working for various criminal organizations, building up a reputation as a skilled and efficient assassin. Before long, I was known as one of the deadliest hitmen in the business, but with that reputation came danger. My enemies began to see me as a threat to their organizations, and they started coming after me. It was a constant battle, and I had to stay on my toes if I wanted to survive. But that's what I do best. I adapt to whatever situation I'm in, and I come out on top. In many ways, it's a tough line of work that, for obvious reasons, I have trouble leaving behind.
I know this might be obvious to you, but to the many at home, why is it so hard for you to leave this type of life? Is it the thrill of the job, the money, or is it something deeper, like a sense of purpose or belonging in that world?
Another great question, Joe. I think it's hard to leave this life as an assassin because it's all-consuming. Like when you're in that world, you're constantly looking over your shoulder, always on edge and ready for anything. And while it's a dangerous way to live, and you're right, it's thrilling, there's a rush that comes with completing a job, knowing you've taken out a target with precision and skill. But there's more to it than that. When you're an assassin, you're part of a community, a network of people who understand what you do and why you do it. You have connections and resources that you wouldn't have in any other line of work. And when you leave that life behind, you lose all of that. And in many ways, you could say you lose the control and power you held while being an assassin. Plus, there's always the danger of unfinished business. The people you've crossed, the targets you've taken out, they don't just disappear when you retire. They may hold a grudge, or they may come after you for revenge. And even if they don't, the memories and the guilt can weigh heavily on you. That's why it's so hard to leave that life behind. It's not just a job, it's a way of life. And even if you try to move on, the past has a way of catching up to you.
Yeah, I think a lot of people can relate with what you've just said. We all have things we're not proud of,
Absolutely.
or moments we wish we could change.
Yeah.
But the reality is our past is a part of who we are. It's shaped us into the person we are today,
Yep.
and it's something we have to learn to accept and embrace. That being said, I don't think we have to be defined by our past. We can choose to use our experiences as a catalyst for growth and change. It's not always easy, but I think it's important to acknowledge where we've come from and use that as a foundation for where we're going. For you, John, I know your past is particularly complicated.
Yep. Very complicated.
You've been through a lot and seen things that most people can't even imagine. I'm curious. Is there anything that scares you? With all of the intense situations you've been in and the risks you've taken, I would think it's hard to imagine anything that could make you feel vulnerable, but I'm interested in hearing your perspective.
Let me think. Yeah, there are definitely things that scare me. I'm afraid of losing the people I care about. After losing my wife and then my dog, I know firsthand how painful it can be to lose someone you love. I'm also afraid of becoming complacent or losing my edge. In this line of work, you have to be on your toes at all times and never let your guard down. So I'm always trying to stay sharp and keep improving both physically and mentally. But at the end of the day, I think fear can be a powerful motivator. It's what drives me to keep fighting, to keep pushing myself, and to never give up. So in a way, I'm grateful for my fears because they remind me of what's truly important and keep me focused on my mission.
Interesting. I get what you're saying about fear.
Yeah.
And it being a motivator. It's something that I've experienced in battle in my own life as well.
Yeah.
I think when we're faced with a situation that scares us, it can either paralyze us or push us to be better. For me, fear has always been a catalyst for growth. Whether it's the fear of failure or the fear of physical harm, I've found that facing those fears head on has always made me stronger and more resilient.
Exactly. Joe,
it's not always easy, but I think it's important to embrace those feelings of fear and use them to drive us forward.
Yep.
Of course, there's a fine line between healthy fear and irrational fear.
Yeah.
We don't want to let our fears control us or hold us back from living our lives to the fullest. But when fear is used as a tool, as a way to motivate us to overcome challenges and achieve our goals, it can be a powerful force.
Yeah. Now, Joe, I've been curious since I got here. What's your background in martial arts? I know you've trained in a bunch of different disciplines.
Yeah, of course. So where do I even begin? It all started with Taekwondo when I was just a kid, and I was hooked from the moment I stepped on the mat. There's just something about the discipline and physicality of it that spoke to me. From there, I started branching out and exploring other martial arts. There are so many incredible disciplines out there, but the one that really captured my heart was Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. BJJ is all about grappling and using leverage and technique to control your opponent and submit them. There's nothing quite like the feeling of pulling off a perfectly executed submission. Yep. I've been training in BJJ for over 20 years now, and I've earned a black belt under the legendary Jean-Jacques Machado. The journey to that black belt was one of the toughest things I've ever done. But BJJ isn't the only martial art I've dabbled in. I've also trained in Muay Thai, which is a striking-based martial art from Thailand. Muay Thai is all about using your hands, feet, knees, and elbows to attack your opponent, and it's known for its devastating kicks and clinch work. But it's not just about the physical side of things. Martial arts have taught me so much about discipline, focus, and resilience. They've helped me stay in shape and relieve stress. So if you're thinking about trying out martial arts, I say go for it. Whether you're interested in BJJ, Muay Thai, or something else entirely, there's a discipline out there for everyone. And who knows, it might just change your life like it did mine.
Yeah. For me, I started with the basics: boxing, wrestling, and jiu-jitsu. Those are the fundamentals that any good fighter needs to have.
Yeah.
But as I got deeper into my line of work, I realized that I needed to be proficient in a range of styles. That's why I've also trained in Muay Thai, Krav Maga, and Judo. Each discipline has its strengths and weaknesses, and it's important to be well-rounded. For me, the most effective martial art in my line of work is probably a combination of all of them. When I'm in a fight, I don't have the luxury of sticking to one style. I need to be able to adapt to my opponent and use whatever techniques will be most effective in that particular situation. That being said, I do have some personal favorites. I think Krav Maga is particularly effective for self-defense in real-world situations. It's designed to be quick and efficient, with techniques that are meant to end a fight as quickly as possible.
Interesting.
At the end of the day, though, it's not just about the martial arts. It's about the mindset and the training. I've learned to be disciplined, to stay calm under pressure, and to think strategically in any situation. And that, more than anything, is what has helped me be successful in my line of work.
Very interesting. Yeah. In a real-life street fight, efficiency is key. You can't be wasting time with fancy moves. You need to be quick, efficient, and get the fuck out of there.
Absolutely.
The objective is to end the fight as quickly as possible without getting hurt yourself. Now, I'm not saying that technique doesn't matter. Of course it does.
Yeah.
But you have to be able to use those techniques effectively in a real-life situation. And that's where efficiency comes into play. You need to know how to use your skills in the most efficient way possible so you can end the fight quickly and get out of there safely.
Yeah.
Well, John, it's been a pleasure having you on the podcast. Your experiences and perspectives are truly fascinating, and I know our listeners are going to love hearing from you. Before we wrap things up, is there anything you'd like to say about your upcoming movie, John Wick 4?
Absolutely, Joe. I'm thrilled for people to see the next installment in the John Wick franchise. It's going to be action-packed with new challenges and adversaries that will really put my skills to the test. But it's not just about the action. We're also exploring some deeper themes and emotions in this one. I think fans of the series are going to be really happy with what we've come up with.
Well, I can't wait to see it myself, and I'm sure our listeners will be eagerly anticipating its release as well. Thanks again for being here, John.
Thanks for having me, Joe.
It's been an honor to chat with you. And to our listeners, be sure to check out John Wick 4 when it hits theaters. You won't be disappointed.